Joe Biden re-emerging at a Memorial Day event 4 days after Memorial Day, and his brain still cooking with no oil. He insisted he would have won re-election and got real up close and personal with reporters.
I feel like everybody expects. I've done it all because I'm loyal. I do it every damn year. I'm very against it. Never forget my duty.
There's also been a lot of discussion recently about your mental and physical capabilities while you were in office.
You can see that. I'm mentally incompetent and I can't walk and I could beat the hell out of both of them.
Well, do you want to reply to any of those reports, and also to the fact that there are some Democrats who are now questioning whether you should have run for re-election in the first place?
Why didn't they run against me then? I got beaten.
And paging Dr. Jill, your testimony's needed. Trump was asked by the press if the doc should testify about her husband's decline while he was president.
Do you think that Dr. Jill Biden should also have to come in and testify about what she did or didn't do?
Well, I hate the concept of it. It's the wife of a man who was going through a lot of problems, and everybody that dealt with him understood that. And I guess it came out during the debate loud and clear. That was the biggest signal of all. They have to do what's right.
And so that was a very gracious statement by the president. Greg, would you have shown Dr. Jill and her husband that much grace?
I don't know, man. Dr. Jill is like a dog who keeps digging up an old bone in the backyard and trying to bring it into the house. She's like, you know what? She's like the manager of Elvis Presley during those last days. Maybe I can just squeeze a little bit of money if he can just remember the words to Hound Dog. You know, I love how every time they go up to this old guy, he always resorts to some kind of violence, you know. Oh, my critics, I can beat them all up. Dude, you got your ass kicked by stairs. You know, imagine if this guy had somehow managed to cross the finish line, if they duct tape this collapsing corpse together. Well, you don't have to imagine it. He's right there. And he says, watch me. You know, we spoke up, but all those people, these dopes that are interviewing him, asking these questions like, oh, you're so fawning over him is so grotesque. And they say they were duped. When I see Joe Biden, I don't see Joe Biden. I see the legacy media. I see Hollywood, academia, the people that put their power before authority. Last word, Biden complains that politics has become so bitter. You know, maybe he doesn't remember the things he said because he doesn't remember what he had for breakfast. He, in front of troops, said, you know, he targeted troops over political beliefs. You know, he branded millions of people as extreme and dangerous, not just the leader, but the supporters. Now he says, I want to unify. The guy put people in boxes, figuratively and literally.
I hate to say this, Katie, but Greg does have a good point.
Oh, thank you.
You'd think you'd have this opportunity with the former president after all of the stuff that has come out and these lame, limp questions. That's what perpetuated the cover-up in the first place.
Johnny would never answer.
He would never hit him right between the eyes.
He would, and then Joe Biden would threaten to beat him up, and he would have to get a restraining order.
I'd say, please do.
No, we love Johnny. Please don't beat him up. For a guy who was at the beach all the time, he sure is out a lot now. I mean, he's out talking to reporters. I can't imagine Democrats like this. My advice to him would be, and to Dr. Jill, would to be get your story straight, because this could have all been avoided if there were more transparency over the past 4 years. You bring the doctor out to the press briefing, you let him answer questions from reporters, even if they ask bad questions, at least you're showing that you're willing to answer them. There's still no answers about big historic things that happened during the election, including the president dropping out of the race. They posted a letter on Twitter, and the president of the United States didn't come out to talk about it until 24 hours later. I mean, who signed the letter? Who wrote the letter? Who posted the tweet? I mean, these are things the American people deserve to know, especially because Democrats for so many years were subverting democracy by going against President Trump with all this deep state, strategy. And yet when it came to President Biden, we have no transparency about really big things that voters deserve to know about the president.
What would you have asked him in this moment, Jessica? Would you have asked him about the auto pen?
I probably would have asked him, which a reporter did, how are you feeling and how's your treatment going? Because he has started his cancer treatment.
That's
and
a nice
he says
point.
it's going. would you like to echo
I
my
agree.
sentiments?
That was a nice gesture, but then
Okay,
you
but then
follow
that
up with the
leads
auto
me-
pen.
Just
But
takes
they
a
did.
pill.
But see, now we're not allowed to talk about it because of that.
No, we're absolutely allowed to
Do you
talk
believe
about it.
him?
I'm not.
I don't
That
believe
he's taking a
anything.
pill.
I don't
Okay.
believe anything.
But
I can't.
I
I'm not
think-
supposed. I can no longer believe anything.
You never believed.
No, I
anything
used to
anyway.
have some trust. It's dead.
Fine.
If he says he's taking a pill, I don't believe him.
But guess what? The good news is it doesn't matter.
That is
He's
true.
not the president anymore.
thank
Move
God.
on. You
Thank
know
God
who
for
is?
us.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So you know who the president is today?
No help from you.
A guy. Well, I wasn't going to vote for the guy. Then the actual president is asked about Joe Biden's cancer to stay on theme. And he said, if you feel sorry for him, don't feel so sorry because he's vicious. Really feel sorry for him. Now, contrast that with how Joe Biden acted after the Butler assassination attempt.
Wait.
But then the
let-
president's behavior gets better today because he says he hasn't been asked yet, but he'd think about pardoning Diddy because Diddy liked him a lot.
All right. He
So
tried to
that's
put
what
him
I
in
got from the
prison,
president today.
Jessica. He
Stop
raided
it.
his house. Come
He did not.
on.
Joe Biden, dementia, cancer notwithstanding, is an awful person.
Yeah.
He's been an awful person for 50 years. I want to be sympathetic. I've
You
said
do?
I want to be sympathetic, but it's all gone. The guy tried to destroy this country. Yes.
And his corrupt Secret Service is what got Trump shot. Over to you, Sean.
Okay, well, I
Be
have to say,
optimistic.
I'm going to be optimistic in that I will be very interested to see what the Senate and the House do if they actually get anybody to come in. No subpoenas yet. I don't know if they go there. But when President Biden says they should have run against me, Dean Phillips, who was a congressman at that time, was the only one who stood up and said he should not be running. He actually tried to mount a primary run against him. That's just one of the things that is covered in Original Sin. And that book has some other stuff. An aide told them our whole idea was we just get him elected and then he can hide for 4 years, which begs the question then who was going to be running the country if that was your plan? And also you have cabinet officials, secretaries saying that they were shocked when they saw President Biden, that he was his mouth was hanging open, he was disoriented, he didn't know what he was doing, which to me begs the question, was there ever a discussion of the 25th Amendment? These cabinet members told those authors, we didn't think he was capable, some of them, of taking a 2 a.m. call. He had the nuke codes, he was the commander in chief. I think everybody has questions. And when he shows up, it sparks all of them again. And Democrats then have to answer the question, did you see something? What do you think? And all the 28 contenders are going to have to answer those questions, chief among them the former vice president.
Well said. And way to be
Very
positive.
optimistic. Yeah.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.